Chapter 39. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfil? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who hath sent out the wild ass free? Or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth he the crying of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searcheth after every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow? Or will he harrow the valley after thee? Wilt thou trust him because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it into thy barn? Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks? Or wings and feathers unto the ostrich? Which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time she lifted up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He paweth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, Ha ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock and the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. In chapter 39, the poet makes major comparisons between man's lack of knowledge, lack of ability, and lack of power, and lack of understanding, compared to what God knows and what God does and what God can command and what God has brought to pass. And the question really is asked, do you have any understanding of even the simplest facts relating to how all of these things work? Yes, do you have any idea how many months these animals fulfill? In other words, how long is the pregnancy of these wild deer, the hinds? Do you have any idea? Do you know when they deliver? Their children grow up and the children just go on their own. They never come back home and say, well, I couldn't make it, Dad, I need help. All of these things, basically, here are questions that are the key part of all of Job. Because we see the wisdom, intelligence, power, and majesty of God contrasted to the pathetic, by comparison, logic, reasoning, and understanding of man. And the whole purpose of Job is to help us to understand that however much we think we know, By comparison to God, we know next to nothing at all. Nor do we understand, nor do we really have any right to complain or say how hard done by we've been or anything else. Because we aren't even in the same league. We do not understand how God operates, what he thinks, what he has to do. We would like to think, of course, that we're the center of his universe, and we know we are. But we also need to understand we're not the only thing in his universe. Nor are we the only one in his universe. That if we want something to happen, that maybe just asking that one thing to happen could impact the lives of many other people. Maybe if we want rain here, where we're having our forest fire, we're not having one where I live right now, but we have had one a half mile from the house. 15,000 acre forest fire. If we want rain there, maybe that's going to have a positive impact on somebody else. Maybe it's going to see to it that the water that was dropped here isn't going to drop someplace else, where it may be even more necessary. We need to understand that God, as much as he loves us, cares for us, and we are his primary concern, we are not his only concern as individuals. And that we are part of something much bigger than just ourselves. And that we can learn, and we will learn, but we don't know it all yet. And that's what Heavenly Father wants us to understand, and what the poet wants us to understand. We don't know it all yet.